said I was gonna drop my Natty Cakes build when we hit 10,000 subscribers and followers. We hit that. I appreciate you all. So with that being said, Natty Cakes just ain't Natty Cakes without vote. I'm dropping the vote build with a 2. Y'all ain't see that coming because it's vote. You ain't supposed to. Let's go! We're gonna replace this number 4 with Nourish. Natty Cakes will take care of the nuking while we keep that energy and viral damage flowing. Also, since Natty Cakes is always with you, she gonna get the buff from Nourish too. I'll show y'all how I activate her to start nuking later on in the video. Ability strength. Duration. More strength. Shock Trooper is going to add electricity damage to all of our weapons when we long press our number 1 ability. The amount of electricity damage you get is based off exact ability strength, which would be 472% electricity damage with all of our mods and arcane activated. This electricity damage does not combine with other statuses on our weapons. Our companion weapon gets this buff right along with your squad if they're in range when you cast shock, which brings me to Augur Secrets for more strength, or Augur Reach for more range if you want to pull up in a Voltzwagon and carry the squad. I say you won't need that much range since you can typically run to your squad members and give them all of your buffs. A big energy pool would be extremely helpful if you want to keep feeding your companion or the squad buffs while having enough energy left to cast your electric shield. Also, a lot of energy will be important when it comes to having Natty Cakes clear rooms without you lifting a weapon. More on this when we get to her build. We need as much strength as possible. Since Vote is a weapon platform, I dedicated at least 1 arcane slot to weapon damage. For this particular build, I'm using Arcane Precision for 300% secondary damage on headshot. Plenty of headshots will be happening since we will be using the Incarnon for Lex Prime. Headshots from my primary count right along with headshots from Natty Cakes weapon too. She also gets headshots easily for some reason. Maybe because she's above enemies. That's my best guess. Now if you're going to be using the Latron, then you can go with Arcane Rage for 180% damage on headshots. Now for our Latron light cycle, we're going to go with Riddled Target for Evolution 2, Marksman's Focus for Evolution 3, and Critical Parallel for Evolution 4. Multi-Shot for up to 320% crit chance when aiming. Since we're aiming, let's add 120% critical damage. Or you can replace this with a ribbon if you have one. More crit chance, more crit damage, toxin and status chance, cold, damage for a 5% chance to increase our critical damage tier, and primary deadhead for up to 360% damage, a 30% headshot multiplier, and negative 50% recoil. For our little Lexus evolutions, we're going to go with Hoplite Virtue for Evolution 2, Ready Retaliation for Evolution 3, and Critical Parallel for Evolution 4. Damage, multi-shot, crit chance, crit damage for up to 320% crit chance when aiming, magnetic and critical damage. I'll replace this with a ribbon if you have one. Heat, 80% status chance and up to 120% damage per status affecting the target. Here's every status we have on the weapon out the box. Negative 60% recoil, and secondary deadhead for up to 360% damage, a 30% headshot multiplier, and the negative 50% recoil is going to help because this little Lexus got some kickback. Now on to Natty Cakes. I named her that because she stacks statuses on top of each other, and cakes are typically stacked in layers. Alright, we're going to start off by giving our Warframe an extra 60% fire rate when our companion shield is over 1200, and we're going to get that shield from calculated redirection. It's on site. Duplex Bond is going to clone Natty Cakes up to 3 times, 1 clone for every 100 energy spent. So to retouch Prime Flow, we're going to need a big energy pool to comfortably spend 300 energy to clone Natty. How I typically clone her in an efficient way is by spamming his number 2 ability Speed, since it costs less and it has no casting animation. The clones and their weapons also get the speed buff, so if you had Nourish and Shock Trooper buff active, you will have 3 extra Natty Cakes flying around shredding everything quickly in a couple of seconds. Also, when the clones get a kill, the enemies have a 50% chance to drop an energy orb. Energy orbs are going to be all over the place. Fired Up adds up to 100% heat damage to our Sentinel weapon per hit. Natty Cakes live up to her name when it comes to stacking layers of heat statuses with this mod. To give more layers of cake to Natty so she can stack, to make sure we have enough cake to share. Guardian, since Volt is a glass cannon. Radar. We're gonna need one for all of the loot that Natty clones will have laying for you around the corner, since they be moving quick. And for her weapon, we're going with multi-shot, cold and status chance, toxin and status chance, radiation and reload speed, heat and more status chance, magnetic damage and magazine capacity. I'll replace this with a ribbon if you have one. 80% status chance and up to 80% damage per status of faking a target. Here's all of our statuses. And Prime Shred for some fire rate and punch through. Natty motherfucking Cakes. Now for the shards, you could either go with 5 orange shards for 375% critical chance for our secondary, since we have prime heated charge on it. Natty Cakes will also greatly help us get to this 375% from the Fire Up mod being installed on her. Or if you want to play with the Latron, you can use 5 purple shards to give even more electricity damage on top of Stormtrooper. Just make sure you replace Arcane Precision with Arcane Rage on your Volt if you're going to be driving a Latron light cycle more than the Lexus. But I'm sure you're going to be driving this Voltzwagon build more than both of those, because he is a weapon platform. My favorite Warframe. Thanks again for 10,000 subscribers and followers across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I'm heading back to the lab to see what else I can cook up for y'all. Peace.